Everyone, this is Mike Wilkerson. I'm the founder of Stormwall Advisors, the host of Stormwall.com, and the author of the book Why America Matters. I'm coming here today on my YouTube channel to talk about a disturbing trend, which is the weaponization of the banking system against those of conservative views, individuals or organizations. And the war on conservatives and traditional values has expanded into a new and threatening front. But before we get into it, let me remind you that if you enjoy this, if this is helpful to you, please don't forget to give the video a like, share it, subscribe to me here on my YouTube channel, and turn on the notifications bell so you don't miss any new content. Also, you can find all of my media, articles, videos, etc. at stormwall.com. Go there, sign up with your email, and we can send you information on new articles, new videos as they come out. Anyhow, let's get into it. So commercial banks, which one would think should be narrowly focused on the business of protecting your money as your deposits and providing credit, have instead chosen to enter the cultural wars. Banks have turned to blacklisting and banning individuals and businesses that don't align or agree with the prevailing consensus of liberal, social, or political narratives. The weaponization of the banking system against conservative voices is extremely dangerous. In today's world, if you do not have access to banking and electronic payments, you essentially don't exist in our society today. This has come to a head recently in the United Kingdom, a very high-profile case involving Nigel Farage, the conservative UK politician and former leader of the Brexit Party, very widely known for his political views against the establishment. Farage's bank, the private bank Coutts, a subsidiary of NatWest Bank, told Farage earlier this summer that the bank was terminating his account. Now, Coutts provided no explanation. False rumors were planted in the UK press and with the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation in particular, that the rationale was commercial, that Farage just didn't have enough money on hold with the bank, and that's why they were letting him go. Now, not to be dissuaded, Farage was able to obtain access to internal documents of Coutts that showed that the bank had made the decision because of Farage's political views, including his support of Brexit, his challenging the Western narrative around the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and for ideological proximity to the former US President Donald J. Trump. All of this became public just a few days ago as a result of this disclosure of this information. Now, this has had significant fallout in the UK. NatWest CEO Alison Rose was forced to resign after it came to light that she had lied and leaked false information to the BBC about Farage's situation, in addition to breaking client confidentiality, which she had sworn to uphold as her role of the bank. Coutts' CEO, Peter Flavell, subsequently resigned himself. NatWest's chairman, the most senior person there, Howard Davies, has publicly apologized to Farage, but the storm may not be over for him. He may be next in line for a departure or exit. The BBC has apologized, but pointing the finger back at the executives, and now a UK parliamentary investigation has begun with both the Chancellor of the Exchequer, which is the equivalent of the Treasury of the Secretary, Secretary of the Treasury, and the Prime Minister have gotten involved. So this is only the most recent and most highly visible illustration. There have been many, especially over the last few years since 2000. One of the most visible last year in early 2020 amidst peaceful protests by Canadian truck drivers and other workers protesting against vaccine mandates. The Canadian government pressed the big four Canadian banks to freeze the accounts of protesters and supporters. The banks also froze the accounts of third-party organizations who were raising funds for the drivers and their families. One of the sending or giving organizations, GoFundMe, basically canceled these accounts. Another stepped in their place, Give, Send, Go. But this was a huge deal where the banks basically caved to the government's request to cut off these working class drivers, their families, and debank them. There are a number of other situations. In 2021, JP Morgan Chase sought to cancel the card accounts of retired general and former national security advisor Michael J. Flynn and his wife's accounts as well, over so-called reputational issues. Of course, this has to do with the fact that he has continued to stand up and fight and speak out very loudly about the crimes of Russiagate, things that were committed against crimes against him and against the former president of the United States, and numerous others. In fact, so many that in May of this year, in 2023, attorneys general from 19 states sent an open letter to JP Morgan Chase's CEO, Jamie Dimon, formally accusing the bank of discrimination. The bank states it is clear that JP Morgan Chase has persistently discriminated against certain customers due to their religious or political affiliation. The attorneys general cited multiple examples where JP Morgan Chase had unjustly targeted foreclosure accounts of organizations that support religious freedom, pro-life advocacy, or conservative political or religious values. Now, JP Morgan has denied these allegations and has said that they do not discriminate on any of the above bases. However, it's pretty clear that this is going on not just with JP Morgan, but with many banks, not just the too big to fail banks, including JP Morgan, Citi, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, but also the regional banks. Now, the too big to fail banks control most of the nation's deposits, and they do seem to be the most aggressive in winnowing out conservative ideologies. Keep in mind, it's not just the banks. Payment companies, credit card providers, merchant acquirers, peer-to-peer transfer services, PayPal, Stripe, Square, basically all of the essential elements that comprise the modern financial systems plumbing that allow businesses to run, to allow individuals to participate in the economy, have exhibited similar behavior. Targeting conservative groups, restricting ability to conduct transactions for firearms or ammunition or similar things, basically imposing an ideology on their customers and on the businesses with which they work. I want to be very, very clear on this, that debanking is a prelude to totalitarianism. When individuals or organizations can be cut off from the banking and payment system, they are rendered powerless to continue advocating for and financially supporting their beliefs. Now, that, of course, is the point. That's what the banks and the financial services companies are trying to do. But it's a dangerous illusion to believe that this only happens to high-profile individuals like Farage or General Flynn. You know, the Canadian truckers are the best illustration of how quickly and easily it can happen to rank-and-file citizens who dare challenge their government's policies. The reality is that ordinary citizens, ordinary individuals have their accounts canceled all the time. It happens quietly, anonymously, and without means of redress, and the ability to challenge it. The big banks have enormous power over their customers. I wrote on this a week or so ago for the Epoch Times, and a reader of the article sent me a link to the terms of service from his mid-sized bank where he had just left. And I wanted to just describe some of the examples of what are considered prohibited services, prohibited uses, for which the bank says they can monitor, block, cancel, and or reverse payments. And these include buying guns or weapons, buying ammunition, buying tobacco. Apparently, you're not allowed to make bad lifestyle choices on your own. Your bank can actually go in and stop you from doing it. But then it gets very vague, and it goes on to say that, you know, any kind of goods or services that promote or encourage or facilitate or instruct others to engage in illegal activities against laws or regulations or other things. Well, this is exactly how they got the truckers' accounts shut off, was that the government declared their protests, peacefully protesting against vaccine mandates, declared them illegal, told the banks these are illegal protests, these are situations where you need to cut off these people altogether, and the banks followed along. They also, in the same terms of service, say that, you know, any goods or service that includes any language that might be indecent or discourteous or bigoted, gives them the right to shut you down, cancel your account. I'm not saying that they're going to act on these things, but they have the power to do so. So if you tweet or say something maybe in favor of a certain political candidate, maybe against vaccine mandates, that's deemed as being offensive or vulgar or discourteous, at least according to the technical terms of service under prohibited use, the banks have the right to cut you off. Listen, this is extremely, extremely dangerous, that the banks, the financial institutions are becoming weaponized in the political and cultural war that we are all in the middle of. And I think it's extremely important that every viewer, everyone who's listening to this, every citizen takes appropriate steps to protect yourself. First of all, by being aware, to realize that this is going on, to realize that it's a risk. Some of the things that you can do are easy. Some of them are more challenging, but first step is to be aware of it. Second is to think about what you might be able to do. One, it could be changing your bank. It could be realigning around a banking relationship. It's maybe a smaller bank, maybe a community bank, someone that's publicly affirmed that they're committed to non-discrimination on religious grounds, on political grounds, on whatever else basis. Secondly, maybe if that's not completely possible, diversifying away so that you have options in case you are shut off in any one situation or other. Learn about alternatives, things like cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, how they might play a role in financial freedom outside of the banking system. Understand the dangers that central bank digital currencies pose in this same sort of dystopian world we're going to, where with the use of central bank issued digital currencies, that every transaction can be surveilled, controlled, and canceled. And that is a world that we do not want to go into. And finally, to prepare, to be aware this can happen is one thing, but to prepare for it happening is something else. But ways you can prepare is to think about having stores of value outside of the banking system, whether that be cash, whether that be precious metals like gold, silver, Bitcoin, or other cryptocurrencies, in case of an emergency need. Be aware that centralized banks have a dangerous power, and it's just something to be aware of. Now, I have written on this several different articles. You can find it at stormwall.com, where you can find all of my articles on all sorts of different subjects. And there's some other videos and other resources out there. I'll wrap this up now. Again, hopefully this has been helpful. Please don't forget to give it a like. Assuming you're watching it here on YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel, share this, recommend it to other friends, get the word out. I think this is something that every person in this country who cares about freedom, who cares about their own rights, needs to understand and be aware of. Thank you for watching, and also check out stormwall.com. You can sign up with your email and get weekly updates on articles that I'm writing and other things that are going on. So we'll see you next time here and on stormwall.com. Thanks to everyone.